now is a good time. Transition to the Bad Batch, which I thought maybe might be one of my favorite animated Star Wars episodes of all time. It's crazy to say.
Dare I
Uh,
say
the,
this is the best Star Wars show this week?
yeah, I think you're absolutely right. The Outpost, uh, Crosshair, back.
Let's
What did
go.
what did you think?
It was so good. It was that. I think it's top three for Bad Batch for me. I think I like the Cad Bane ones more, but I'm like a Cad Bane fanboy, so I have bias. But other than that, like it was so good. It was the writing was good, the pacing was incredible. I like how it was so easy to hate that lieutenant. I forgot it. I think his name was something Colin or something like that. It was someone. I started with like a C or a K.
Yeah,
But
something like that.
yeah, the lieutenant was like he was so fun to hate on him. I love. Oh, what was the clone trooper's name? Oh, I forgot it. Oh, I forgot that clone trooper's name, but the one who was on the ice planet with Din, he was. I loved him so much. I was sad when he died.
Yeah, yeah. I Mayhem or May,
Yeah,
right?
Mayday, Mayday, Mayday.
Mayday, Mayday. There we go, Mayday. Yeah, I 100% agree. This episode was very like fantastic. It reminded me of those great Clone Wars one-off episodes that were just like, what did I just watch? They're so good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it does again an integral part of why the Clone Wars was great was the clones itself, and that's so self-explanatory. Obviously, like if you think of the best Clone Wars arc, you actually think of Umbara. You think of the Order 66 stuff with fives. Like the clones are integral parts of those stories. This episode like invoked like the feelings I felt when you watched that season 1 episode of Clone Wars on the Rishi Moon with Domino Squad. But it also was like very good commentary again on this idea that the clones are like done. They're just gone. We see it in this episode that like there's a bunch of them being phased into retirement. They're done. Like that nothing. They got nothing now. There's no purpose for them and there's still a few of them around. Just the way everything is shot, just the shot choices themselves, the music um was really good. And this whole like premise of them being on this isolated moon was very symbolic of like them just being phased out. They're just it's like what that lieutenant said. He's like, I don't like uh what was it, like old product or used product or
Yeah, I
something
like
like that.
used products. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very symbolic of what he said. Very easy character to hate, like you said, just by his face, his personality, everything, I guess. Just one of those like characters you hate. Um, and such a good moment for Crosshair, obviously. But I guess we could get into more integral details. What else did you like from this story, from this episode?
I liked what they set up for the future of Crosshair. How he's like now captured on I'm assuming Mount Tantus. I like the setup because like it didn't feel like force. I was like, oh, now we're here and this is an easy thing for him to reunite with the Bad Batch. Like it felt like a very natural thing how they kind of like captured a defective clone who's like could still be useful to them.
Yeah, and I agree with that as well. And obviously, all roads seem to be leading towards Tantus by the end of the season. God, I really hope we don't get a one-off episode. We're gonna get a one-off episode next week where it's some random ass adventure, aren't we?
Oh
Um,
no,
we're gonna get like something dumb.
Omega's gonna
Um,
be like, guys, we need to go to this one planet and liberate the city.
yeah, we're gonna get something dumb. Um, I hope not. But like, yes, him on Tantus makes a lot of sense. All roads lead to there. There's something going on. Obviously, this cloning that's tied with Palpatine, with Grogu, with whatever's going on here. It's all gonna tie together. At some point for sure. I want to go back to Crosshair because I think his story is really, really well done. The more I think about it and think about it now, it's very poetic. The first time we meet Crosshair in the Clone Wars is on oh shit, what is the planet? Scipio? Is it Scipio, the one that they get Echo from?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think it's Scipio. And he says, I would have just left him for dead. He's a reg, right? He says that to Rex about
Yeah.
Echo.
On the when they're on the mountain, yeah.
Right, and then to him, his final moments of him being an imperial, uh, just a member of the empire, really, just a soldier in the empire.
Hmm.
He saves a clone like a Reg's life. A
Yeah.
Reg's life, mind you, who like, well, in our time, like 20 minutes he only knew, but for like a day he knew. Uh, and he saved or essentially carried this clone for like a whole period of time to save him, and then pleaded for his life as he himself was in a bad state, a mental state himself, bad physical and mental state. I thought, excuse me, I thought that was really well done, very symbolic. And then again, also, oh, there's a lot of really good symbolism here. I'm gonna go off. The vulture. Right, the vulture. Vulture is a scavenger, like the last at the feast. Again, symbolic of like the clones being like this is the end for them.
Yeah.
Just very well done. Uh, Beautiful creatures, right? They talk about that. Like again, the clones are really beautiful in design. Like they serve their purpose, but they're essentially done for, right? Uh, so again, symbolism, crosshair story, all that really well done. What else do you want to say about this episode?
Yeah, there was another thing when they were walking back, Crosshair gives up his helmet, which to me was kind of like symbolism of him like dropping, like, leaving the Empire behind, like, leaving what he knew behind. And it wasn't an Imperial trooper that was bringing Mayday back. It was Crosshair. Because, like, you kind of feel like it's just like he's just this brainless Imperial trooper. Like, when you brought him back, you're like, oh, there we go. That's Crosshair right there. That's what we want to see with him. That's what we know, like, what he's like. I thought that was
Right.
like a nice little detail that they put in there.
Right, yeah, him losing the helmet, symbolic of him, like, returning, obviously. And I think Mayday, I saw somebody say very high up on their clone rankings. I'm not gonna say that quite yet.
I
Um,
liked Hauser from season 1 a little bit more than Mayday, but like I
yeah,
really liked Mayday.
I really messed with like Mayday's design though. Like
Oh
the
yeah,
flaps he had on, like that was really cool. His design was really unique. And I again symbolic of like them like just being shattered by a whole entire war and then them not understanding their purpose. I think the show is just as the successor to the spiritual successor to Clone Wars. I think it's done a very fantastic job of like closing out the stories for these characters that we saw. Uh and we feel sympathy for these characters even though they're on the wrong side now, but they don't know it themselves. They've gone through terrible, traumatic things. They killed the people that they cared about, the Jedi, obviously. Not to their part, they were controlled. Um, and it was really good to see that closure, right? Because when we talked about the clones transitioning into the stormtroopers for a long time, we're like, okay, whatever. But then you got the Clone Wars, and you grew attachments with these characters, and then once the Clone Wars ended, we wanted to see that story. How did this all play out? Because we saw how pure-hearted these characters were. Most of them, did they turn out to all be Imperial? And we're starting to see like that disenfranchisement with the Empire. And again, I still think all roads lead to Tantus. And I think still all roads lead to an eventual clone uprising that ends in most of their deaths. But yeah, I want to hear, what else do you think from this episode, and what do you think? What do you think? What do we think we're gonna see moving forward?
yeah. I just want to touch on two more things on this episode real quick. I liked the whole goal to get to the crates. All of, like, they sacrificed their lives for something that's gonna replace them. That was so sad. There was like all this death, all his brothers, which he brings, like, he has like the shrine of all their helmets inside. That means he went back every single time like one of his men died and retrieved all their helmets. Because, like you say, he doesn't want to leave his men behind, which I thought that was a really good moment. It's like when you kind of realize that, damn, he went to go get every single one of them back because he just want to just leave them stranded out there. And so, like, when he
Right.
just, like, yeah, he brought all of them back. It was so sweet. Like I said, when they opened the crate, that was just heartbreaking. I was like, oh damn, all of this, y'all sacrificed everything for something that's just gonna replace you. Like, it was just
Yeah.
so
Right.
sad.
Yeah. Absolutely, I agree with that. And there was something else you wanted to say. I think a couple. Did you said a couple things?
Yeah, no,
Was there
those were the
something?
two things. Yeah, the helmets and
Okay.
the and them being replaced. But yeah, and as far as where I want to see it go, I want another Crosshair focus episode next week. I kind of wanted to like kind of introduce us to how the facility is working and what they're focusing on doing in the facility. So like what's the origins of the facility? What are they doing there? What is like kind of like the key like players in this? What does like was it her name Lama say or who's the one that's alive right now the Kamino? And I forgot her name.
Nalase is the scientist.
Yeah. So
Lamasu is
now
the prime minister.
yeah. So I want to see like their parts of blame, what they're ultimately doing. And I think by the end they'll have like a tease that'll show like the Bad Batch. They'll be like, oh my gosh, don't know that this is going on here. And then Omega's gonna be like, we have to go help them, God, the Bad Batch. We have to go help them. And I think they'll call in Rex so Echo can come back because Echo gonna kind of tease would come back eventually, and they all infiltrate this base. And then we ultimately find out what happens in the finale. They rescue Crosshair. Crosshair's back with the group.
Yeah, I think that would be really interesting. So the last episode, I believe, is called Plan 99. And obviously they want to get Omega, right? We know that the clone or the new genetic scientist wants to get Omega. So this is all very interesting. All roads obviously lead to Tantus. My thing is like, I don't know, like, I guess you can end the show on this. Because I feel like there's so much to wrap up in 4 episodes. Kind of this whole thing with Sid. What's going on with Sid, right? Sid knows a lot about him. Is Sid gonna rat him out to somebody?
I think Sid could rat them out. That's how they end up capturing Omega. And Omega and Crosshair are at the same facility, and the Bad Batch goes to rescue Omega, but then they learn that Crosshair is also there.
Okay. I think that's a really good thing. I wouldn't mind if the show ended with what's going on Tantus. We figure out.
I don't think the show could end that way because, like, if Crosshair comes back, that'd be so sad. Like, we ended the show basically where we began. Like, oh,
right,
we're back to normal now. But then again, I don't think the show's gonna get renewed for a 3rd season.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's been. I think you would agree. I think this season's been a lot better than the first season. So, like, I don't know. I think it's a very weird spot that they're in. With it, I personally really love the back half of this season. It's grown up. It's matured. It's done what like the Clone Wars did really well and Rebels did really well. I think it's actually gotten better. Quicker than Clone Wars and Rebels did. It took a really long time for me to start to say, "Hey, Rebels, there you go." It took me a really long time to say, "Hey, Clone Wars, hey." The Bad Batch, it took a lot shorter of time, and I think that should happen, right? This is your 3rd animated show.
Yeah,
4th,
it took me like 3.5 seasons to fall in love with Clone Wars and like 3 seasons, in my opinion, to fall in love with Rebels. I know people didn't really get into Rebels till like halfway to season 3 or season 4, but I liked it in season 3.
Yeah, I agree with that. I tend to agree with that. Yeah, so yeah, I think we agree it's all going to lead to Tantus. Something with Omega, something with Crosshair. I agree. I want more Crosshair centric stuff, but also we got what's going on with Cody. We don't know what's going on with him. It's been a while.
I feel like he's going to be like with Hauser, where they kind of just like, oh, he's out there somewhere, guys. Where? We don't know, but he's out there.
I would really love if the Bad Batch and Rex and Echo got like a big clone uprising to Tantus, and it was a big final battle that resulted in obviously the destruction of Tantus, but also like the destruction of a lot of clones, and even like Echo. I feel like somebody has to die.
Echo actually, has to die. Get Echo out the group.
I wouldn't mind if it was Wrecker.
Oh yeah, Wrecker, I don't care about
because he's had no development. Like his character has not had development since like the early part of season 1.
I'm pretty sure like some of his only development is him not being afraid of heights or as afraid of heights as he used to. That's like his biggest piece of development.
I'm gonna be honest. I like until now totally forgot he was a character. Like 100%. He is like just there sometimes. It's bad. I don't know. What is it with like these large dudes like Hulk and them not having interesting character arcs? They're very archetype characters, so I know it's difficult, but come on. You got to try something.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't work out, you got to try. It's like, geez. Feel like a death, but like a death won't feel as impactful. It's just like, oh, it's Wrecker. You know what I'm saying?
Disrespectful.
I mean, it is, but it's true, right?
No,
I mean,
I'm not saying you're wrong.
It's true. Do you got anything else to say about the Bad Batch this week and where we go moving forward?
No, like I said, good episode. I'd probably give it like a 9.5 out of 10 for this one.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna give it a 9.5 out of 10 as well. Very good episode.